There's a moment that happens before every flight. The engine is running, the instruments are alive, the runway stretches out in front of you like a question that hasn't been answered yet. And in that moment, something strange happens. Not outside the aircraft, inside you. Your heart beats a little faster, your thoughts get louder, your body feels alert, almost restless. That's anxiety. And contrary to what most people believe, anxiety isn't a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something matters. People think fear shows up in the sky, at 30,000 feet, in storms, in turbulence. But the truth is, fear shows up long before that. Fear shows up before you move, before the throttle goes forward, before commitment, before there's no turning back. Anxiety lives in anticipation. It lives in the what-ifs. What if I fail? What if I lose control? What if I'm not as capable as I think I am? In aviation, pilots are trained to understand something early on. Fear doesn't make you weak. Ignoring it does. Fear is information. But when you don't know how to read it, it turns into panic. Your mind starts flying ahead of you. It imagines failures that haven't happened, scenarios that aren't real, outcomes you can't actually predict. The aircraft is still on the ground. Everything is stable. But your thoughts are already spiraling. And this doesn't just happen in cockpits, it happens in life. Right before you take a risk, right before you speak up, right before you change direction, right before you become someone new. The runway is always the hardest place to be, because while you're still there, everything is possible. Success, failure, regret, growth. Once you take off, one thing disappears forever, the illusion that you didn't choose. That's what we're really afraid of, choice. Takeoff is intimidating because it's irreversible. There's no pause button once you're airborne. And that's why so many people stay parked, not because they're incapable, but because they're waiting for certainty. But here's the truth, pilots learn very quickly. Certainty doesn't come before takeoff, it comes after. You don't build confidence by staying grounded, you build it by flying. Once you're in the air, something interesting happens. The noise settles, the chaos quiets down, the systems do what they were designed to do, and then turbulence, sudden, uncomfortable, unpredictable. Your body reacts instantly, muscles tighten, breathing shortens. Your instinct is to fight it, but every experienced pilot knows this. The aircraft was built for turbulence. Turbulence looks dangerous. It feels violent, but statistically, it's one of the least dangerous parts of flying. What makes it terrifying is the feeling of losing control, and anxiety works exactly the same way. Life shakes you. A setback, a failure, a loss you didn't plan for, and suddenly you grip the controls harder. You try to force stability. You try to control every variable. But fighting turbulence doesn't create safety. It creates exhaustion. The skill isn't avoiding turbulence. The skill is staying steady inside it. Most people don't realize this, but pilots aren't calm because nothing ever goes wrong. They re-calm because they trust what they've been trained to do when something goes wrong. That trust doesn't come from positive thinking. It comes from repetition, from preparation, from surviving difficult flights and realizing I can handle more than I thought. Then there's the moment no one likes to talk about. The dark moment. The flight where confidence cracks, where doubt gets loud, where fear feels heavier than usual. Every pilot remembers one, and in life, that moment doesn't announce itself dramatically. It shows up quietly. Burnout, disappointment, the urge to quit without telling anyone. You start questioning everything, your choices, your ability, your worth, and anxiety doesn't scream in those moments. It whispers, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you should turn back. Maybe you're not built for this. This is where most people stop. Not because they can continue, but because they mistake fear for a warning sign instead of a checkpoint. In aviation, when visibility disappears, pilots don't trust their feelings. They trust their instruments, because your senses can lie. Your body can misinterpret signals. Your mind can panic, but the instruments tell the truth. In life, your instruments are quieter, but they're there. Your experience, your discipline, your resilience, the fact that you're still here. Anxiety tells you to abort the mission. Wisdom tells you to maintain course. Overcoming fear isn't about eliminating it. It's about refusing to let it take the controls. Fear can sit in the cockpit. It just doesn't get to fly the plane. And slowly, something changes. Not overnight, not dramatically, but flight by flight. You notice that fear has less authority. You land. Not perfectly, not smoothly every time, but safely. And every safe landing rewires something in you. Confidence grows, not because the sky got easier, but because you got stronger. You stop chasing fearlessness, and you start building courage. Courage isn't loud. It doesn't always feel powerful. Sometimes it's just showing up again. Pushing the throttle forward even when your hands are shaking. Anxiety will return before the next takeoff. It always does. But now it feels different. Now it's familiar, manageable, a signal, not a sentence. Because you've learned something essential. Fear doesn't mean stop. Fear means prepare and go anyway. The runway will always be there, waiting. And the sky has always been yours. If this resonated with you, like the video so it reaches someone who needs it. Subscribe for more stories about fear, growth, and becoming who you're meant to be. And tell me in the comments, what's your next takeoff?